Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I am your host today. How's everybody doing? Hi, Matrix Rabbit. Hi, Vixen. Hi, Ms. D. Hi, La Chameleon. Good to see you. Hi, Henny. Hi, CK. Hi, Rebecca. Let me pop you in here. How are you?
Hello. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. We made it. Woo.
We did.
How are you doing?
Tired, but I'm snacking.
Okay.
So I'll mute myself here because nobody needs me chomping on nuts. Didn't really have lunch, so
Okay.
fatigued and napped. But woke up 10 minutes before this meeting. So
Okay. Well, you look refreshed. You look good.
thank you. I cuddled with a kitty. So, there's something about that I didn't know before I had a cat because I've never owned a cat. But there's something about and kind of when we cuddle, what it is she's laying there and I got my arm right next to her. And so we're touching, but we're not and it does it to me every single time. We do it every day. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Getting a cat who will cuddle is pretty rare, so you lucked out.
I'm blessed. I am very
Yeah.
blessed. Hello, Stasia.
Hi. How you doing, Stasia?
Hi. I'm good. My plans this afternoon are not happening, so now I went back in pajamas and I'm so happy. You realize how happy I would be if that happened?
That's awesome.
Amazing.
So it's okay to be in pajamas, yeah.
Did you want to tell everybody what your plans were or no? Or?
Sure, yeah. So actually the topic came up kind of recently with Rebecca. I'm also polyamorous and I have a partner in Ontario, but the fact is he's in Ontario. I'm in Quebec. So it's extremely hard to see one another, and I'm a little bit out of my situation now that some of those needs are coming back up, the feelings of those needs. So I started talking to
recovery. I think that shows some recovery.
I think so. I had some anxiety over, meeting somebody that I don't know, and it was an online thing, so it was a bit anxious. But I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put myself out a little bit more. And my partner in Ontario was like, you need to figure this out. Like, what are you going to do? Between the 3 and 6 months that you won't see me. So I was just like, I think you're right. I think you're right. But now I'm like, after the person was like, I met somebody, it feels really special and I don't want to damage that. I said, hey, you do you. I'm really happy for you. If you want to chat, I'm here. And I hope you guys have a great adventure together. And he was like, didn't expect that response, but I don't think he understands what polyamory is.
He doesn't.
I was just like, oh, well, I'm happy that you feel good with the response. Just, I didn't express to him, but it was more anxiety for me than anything. And I think it's because it was an online thing. And right now, I think I want it organically. If I meet somebody, I meet somebody. If I don't, I don't. And that's just how I'm going to sit with it for a while, I think.
Right on.
Yeah. So pajamas for me.
Do not discount the amazingness, the small blessing of comfortable clothes. It's kind of like that. And I know Tommy talks about it a lot, but that, journal and gratitude and things like this is one of those moments like, so kind of like I got to cuddle with the cat. I get to be in pajamas. Those kind of small blessings are just so amazing.
Oh
and we forget about them because there's so many other things and it's all crazy, but
yeah.
I'm so glad that you are comfortable and I'm so glad you're with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was a couple minutes late. I didn't even notice the time. And I was like, oh, I was watching a different stream and I got completely sucked into it. I'm like, oh, wait a second. It's that time.
Let me guess. Surviving together.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, we had gone to get hay, so I didn't get to catch it from the beginning. But as soon as I got in, I was I like it. I like
It, yeah. And she said she's going to try and reach out to you. I'll try
Okay.
and message her too. She's using YouTube directly. And I was
Yeah.
just like, Restream's like a different thing. So I'll try and reach out to her directly too.
Yeah, she's wanting to pop the comments up, and only the streaming services allow you to do that. YouTube doesn't have a feature that allows you to do that without a streaming service.
Isn't that frustrating?
Well, I mean, it has its limitations. I'm sure it's been what it's been since the mid 2000s or early 2000s.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, it's got its limitations. But it's getting that software to talk together that would be frustrating for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the person who can understand that.
Right. I mean, I would settle for them just stopping unsubscribing people from their channels that they like to watch, I'd settle for that.
I got unsubscribed from the Lifeboat, and I was like, what? Like, do you not tell I watch this at least like 8 times a week?
Right.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. So, I can do without, letting us put up comments on their platform. Just fix the things that need fixing. That needs fixing. That's been going on a long time.
Yes. Or just the algorithm itself. Like Tommy had said, for a long time, he was demonetized until somebody went into the system. I'm sure it had to have been a human. Went into the system and was like, he's not talking about this to like help people figure out how to use them. He's trying to actually help people stop. And then he stopped getting demonetized. So even just the algorithm could use a little bit of work sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but I'm rambling.
No. That's 100%. I'm with you.
Okay.
What were you watching earlier? Because the other thing, I sewed earlier today. Yeah. This day was a gift to myself. So I did some sewing. I napped with the cat. So I have not been on YouTube all day. So did I miss something?
No, it was just Surviving Together. I think the other name is TKD for Life.
Yeah, she comes here. Sometimes she comes under Surviving Together. Sometimes it's under TK'd for Life, but Surviving Together is her channel.
Yeah. And Surviving Together is, at first I thought it was more just essay trauma and like how to cope and all of that, but it seems like she's really widening the umbrella of what it is that she's talking about. And of like, even with her original topic, I was interested, there's some things that I could work through in that department. But, even on today's stream, everybody's saying, well, could we talk about this? Could we talk about this? And it's really cool, like how she's willing to incorporate the knowledge that she has and the knowledge and experiences of her viewers to try and help. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. She had mentioned that she wants to do something like this where she can have people up on screen. So she'll have to have a streaming service of some kind, but yeah.
Yeah. And her son is young. I think she said he was 17, so he might be able to help get the systems talk to each other. But all the research that I've done, it looks like StreamYard is just hard to set up originally.
Yes.
And then after that it's a breeze.
Yeah.
Whereas Restream, which is what Carol uses, it's a lot easier all the way through. So I guess it's really just choosing which streaming software she wants.
Yeah.
What's the other streaming software? Maybe I should.
StreamYard. Tommy uses it. Aaron uses it. Most of the SPTVers, I say the ones that I watch anyway, use it.
Yeah.
And I tried for 2 weeks to get it set up with my YouTube channel. That's what I was originally trying to go with.
Okay.
StreamYard is super easy, but I couldn't get it to talk to my I couldn't get it to get my channel connected to it. I tried for 2 weeks. I contacted them. I did everything I knew to do, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I ended up having to go with Restream.
Yeah.
Hi, Seventh Son. Good to see you.
What I'll do is I'll check on that because I'm IT. I should be able to figure this out. So I'm not going to give myself a deadline. so I don't overwhelm the stress, but I
Mm.
will check on it for you. The notes.
Yeah, there's got to be a trick to it,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just figuring it out. And if
Yeah.
it's hard to set up, then yeah, that's would explain why there was some issues in the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
But
And I think
go ahead.
I think Tommy had said that Cedar had set it up for him too. So I'm his daughter. So I'm assuming that this is like you got to be semi sort of tech savvy to understand it. Whereas I'm none of that.
I am medium tech savvy because my job is desktop support. So there's things it may work, it may click for me. The COVID brain has made it a lot harder to do my job and a lot harder for me to do other things.
Yeah.
And some days it's very overwhelming, and that's the helpless and hopeless portion. That is this what my life is going to always be? Is it always going to be this hard? Will I not remember things the way I don't remember them? And things will just pop into my head. Like, I don't know the word. So I lost some of my vocabulary even. I don't remember the words for things and so I'll struggle finding words sometimes. And then all of a sudden a word will pop into my head, which I haven't thought of in years. But so it's kind of weird. It's like I think I've heard it referred to as like all the little synapses in your brain that kind of help you find things. It's like they've been damaged. And so you have to recreate them all.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But it's possible to do that. It's not a lost thing.
Potentially, I think probably just about everything's possible because the body does amazing things.
That's true.
Do an amazing job recovering.
That's
so
true.
I'm trying. I mean, they don't know. I mean, let's be real. They don't know what's going on with COVID still. I mean, they're better, but they don't know. And oh yeah, Ben said that happened as well. So I was thinking earlier today, I need to get back into the brain games. I mean, it is just one more thing for me to do, but I need to get back into doing my regular brain games, which was bringing back those words. I did that really kind of religiously for 6 months to a year after. And so I've kind of taken a bit of a break while I focused on other stuff, but
right on.
I kind of need to get back into that.
Right.
Because this isn't what I want long term.
Yeah.
I'm 52. I'm too young for this to happen to me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
You are.
I'm too young for this. I mean, my people in my family live into their my grandparents lived into their 90s, except for my grandpa. He smoked a lot, so he died in his 80s. But I should potentially have a lot of years and a lot of more to give the world. And this is not what I want my reality to be.
That's right.
So
yeah,
to try.
Right on.
And I'm curious, Tommy was it this morning? I think it was this morning's boat. He was talking about exercise and brain function as well. So I'm curious, like even for me, just adding in a half-hour walk a day has been helping me with the speed up here. I felt like everything was slowing down after the trauma and the experience and everything that happened. Yeah. And then processing it was like, oh my God, my brain's functioning even slower. Yeah. But adding in that like 30 minutes when he was talking about it today, I'm like, he's right. Like I'm doing walking. I'd love to be working out more, but I just don't think I have the capacity right now.
30 minutes a day should be plenty. You know, my mom was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia back in 2017. And we kept her exercising. She'd go to a gym twice a week and work out with a personal trainer. It was the silver sneakers for seniors. And she was active. She was going to the library. She was going to the senior center and playing bridge every single day that it was open. And, you know, after about 3 years, I wasn't seeing any decline. And
really?
And when it was time for her checkup, I said, are you sure she has Lewy body dementia? Because, I mean, as you can sit here and notice, she's pretty on the ball. She's pretty sharp. And they had to acknowledge that, but they weren't willing to take the diagnosis away.
Yeah. Of course.
I have to assume
there's a lot to being active. You know, she was active in a lot of capacities. She read the paper from cover to cover every single day. Oh, you know, yeah. And I think that it's staved off a lot of the dementia aspect of the Lewy body. I really do.
That would
Okay.
explain why for occupational therapy, one of the things I want to try to do is get more exercise and more weight in there. And so we've been slowly trying to add and try to find the balance between where do I go to add more exercise that, you know, that can kind of energize you, and where's that line where I hit that wall and then I crash and then
Yeah.
I'm pretty much done in for a couple of days. So we're
Right.
trying really hard to kind of find, and that may be partially why sometimes I struggle really hard with fatigue, is because we're trying to find the line, and adding weight training is part of it, because this is now going on, it'll be 2 years at the end of April. So
Okay.
I've lost muscle weight. I gained weight. I haven't been very active because now that we got the lungs more under control, I couldn't be active before. It would cause an asthma attack. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, my smile was Christy's comment.
Yeah. Christy, Conversations with Christy says, I've been running to Lowe's all day. Ever noticed how I can send a woman to the hardware store and she gets it right, but you can't send a man to the makeup counter to get red lipstick?
Or I saw a TikTok that was a wife sending her husband to the store for Always pads with wings, and he came back with a package of Always pads and like 2 boxes of wings from the restaurant.
I'm going to take
I was like, oh,
That's what I meant to say to Matrix earlier. I use Android phones. I'm not a Mac person. So yeah, StreamYard may not be for me.
yeah.
I was able to get Restream to connect with my YouTube channel within 24 hours. Well within it.
Wow.
So,
a PC user.
Yeah, PC, Android phones.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because and it's because of what I do. I use
Right.
both.
Okay.
And I took a screenshot of what Christy said, because then I'll look that up, because maybe that is why it didn't work, but I'll check. I'll check that. Also pulled an old.
Yeah.
Oh, Christy, that's so awesome.
Done that so many times. To be fair,
So my wallet has a little chain on it, and I can't say I've done the glasses thing, but because sunglasses are just so heavy, so when they're on my head, I feel them. But my wallet has a little chain on it, and so many times I've gone to leave the store, I'm like searching my purse. Where's my wallet? Look at the counter, look everywhere, and the cashier's laughing at me, and like, it's on your arm. I'm like, God damn.
Oh. To be fair, I think we all have that, because a lot of stuff gets thrown at us. There's a lot of information that gets thrown at us. It's constant all day, every single day. So I think it is kind of hard to stay on top of it.
Oh, yeah. Anything really lately, I feel. But slowly it's getting better. As more stress is being relieved, and well, I say stress, the situation, yes, of course, is stressful, but I'm able to take a little bit of that stress off of myself now, because a lot of that stress is self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should feel more stressed, so therefore if I'm more stressed, it's going to make things go faster, or I'm suffering in the right way. And I'm kind of starting to let go of that, and the more that I let go of it, the easier things are becoming.
Right on. Wow.
Yeah. Like, I'm starting to crochet again. I haven't done that at all since I left.
Wow.
So that's like 4 months, and I'm almost 4 months, and I'm like, whoa, I'm actually creating things again. It feels good to just sit down and crochet and be calm while doing it, not thinking, what else needs to be done? How can I make myself suffer more? You know?
I'm so glad. I'm so
Thank
glad you
you.
have that. Do you have enough yarn?
Oh, I have lots. It's all the way over there. I'm not getting up. I'm sorry.
Well,
but they found a whole bag, like a big IGA grocery bag, reusable grocery bag, full of yarn that had been donated. So I have at least 5 or 6 more projects worth of yarn, and like large projects. So I'm good for right now, but thank you.
I know people who also knit and crochet.
Plant freak, I was paying for Chinese food. I had my wallet out when my phone rang, and I answered my wallet. I was so embarrassed, and luckily no one saw me.
Oh, that's awesome, Henny.
It is
Great
awesome.
to see you.
It is. Hey, Pup Groomer. Good to see ya.
And I just realized we've been talking and I have not been paying attention to chat.
That's okay. I've been trying to keep up with it. Misha says, Stacia, I'm going to post a pic for you in the group. Look for it. Okay.
Excellent.
And La Chameleon, owning up, I have entered the shower with my percussion headset on and my glasses. Husband thought it was hysterical.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. But yeah, I wondered for the longest time when I got sober if I was going to get my cognitive abilities back. I had really done some damage to my body and my brain. Hey, Zena Turner. Unsubbed when you joined the live today. See, we were just talking about that. My goodness. Yeah. And, but you're right. The body and the brain does have an amazing ability to recover.
Yeah.
And that was me.
We're both trying to do it at the same time, I'm sure.
Things
I'm
are
sorry,
bad
my
when you're
internet
on
went
your
funky
wallet.
for a minute.
I was talking about how when I got sober, not only was my body damaged, but my brain too. It's like I couldn't read and stay focused. I couldn't stay focused on anything. I really did not know, if it was possible for me to get my cognitive abilities back. It's like I was so scared that I had done irreparable damage. But, giving the body a fighting chance, and there's so much that you can recover.
Oh yeah.
It may not be like what you might have had you not had the damage not been done, but I can live with what I've got left,
Exactly. And then, for a lot of us, we have the trauma thrown into that too.
Yeah.
And with trauma, for me, the hard part is figuring out how to forgive, whether it be that person or whether it be myself, on what I've lost because of it. Because I've noticed that there's cognitive things with that as well.
Yeah, there is. And it takes a while to get it back, but it does come back. It's been 4.5 years since I was beaten by my brother.
Yeah.
And I really suffered in that area for a while. But, little by little, you gain some ground and you do recover.
Okay. Slowly. Baby steps.
Yeah.
This is where for me, it's the waiting game, and I don't like waiting, but that's my ADHD kicking in. And it's like with ADHD, you just want it done like right away. And I have to remember that processes take a while. They're called processes for a reason.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that reassurance though, that it comes back, and that the feeling of almost stuck in my brain, not so much stuck, like listening to it at this point. I think I'm getting out of that. It's feeling stalled. Maybe that's a better word. Feeling stalled in my brain.
That's definitely a trauma response, and it definitely subsides over time.
Okay. So that I'm grateful to hear.
It's kind of like baby brain. It really is a lot like baby brain.
Okay.
And that's something that, a lot of young mothers, maybe never get told, is that, no, you won't be like this forever. It's just that your body and your brain is focused somewhere else right now. The survival of that kid is the utmost. Now it's the survival of you.
Yes. Yes.
So there's a lot of similarity there, and it's just exactly the same because I've had both,
Okay. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Actually, thank you for the reminder too, because when I first had COVID, I couldn't read a book in the very beginning. So I would just listen to documentaries on YouTube, and I could listen to them on repeat because I wouldn't remember what I necessarily watched.
Mhm.
And then eventually I could start reading a book if I kind of knew what happened. So it was a book that I had read before. And I now can read and remember enough of the story to read a book that I haven't read before.
Okay.
Because it was a stretch
Amazing.
when I would read the book and I wouldn't remember what I read. So I would have to read it in one stretch, or I wouldn't remember the next day what I had read the previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still run into that some, you know, I mean, but it's not like it was at all.
Okay.
Not
Mhm.
anything close to like it was. And so, yeah. I should, you know, and you're younger than me when you're younger than I was when that happened to me.
Yes.
So that can't hurt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. Because if other people who are older can go through this and come out of it
Mm-hmm.
in a better place, I can go through this and come out of it in a better place. And I guess I
100%.
kind of needed to hear that. Thank you, Carol.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You know, and the more you do with your brain, you know, the more it helps kind of regulate those synapses and all that. You know, I played a lot of online cognitive games, you know, including
Okay.
solitaire, but it makes your mind engage.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. And
Yes.
Gordo says, I've been getting these brain shocks. It feels like an energy spike in my head. I feel like I'm about to pass out. Ouch. Almost like my brain wants to reset. Stress is fun, isn't it? Ooh, that is not a good stress response. Ouch.
No.
And Tara's smiling. I'm coming up on 3 years and also wonder how much of my brain damage is from substance misuse and how much is from trauma, and focused on enjoying the journey now. That way, who cares how long it takes? Right on. Yes, you got a double whammy going there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a really good way to look at it. And I'm going to try and take that on, Tara. I'm just going to enjoy the journey. And however long it takes is however long it takes. So I know I'll get there at some point in time. At some point. And I just need to enjoy it for now.
And hello, Grace Twinkletoes. I struggle with cognitive function as well. Sometimes it's frustrating and sometimes I laugh at myself. You know, it is frustrating, but it also can be hilarious.
Yeah. I try to laugh at myself more and more now that I'm getting a little bit further out of it. And the more that I'm able to laugh at it, the less it bothers me. I'm able to be like, oh, look, I actually made myself, laugh literally out loud today.
And he says stress is more complex than we realize. True. You know, and extreme stress. Wow. You know, Henny, you had brought up something about gut health being akin to brain health. I hope this isn't TMI, but after I was severely beaten by my brother in my own home, my regulatory functions of my intestines for like a good month were not functional at all. And it took several months for the bowel hole situation to get straightened out. But that's one of my body's go-to stress responses.
Yes.
And so that intestine and brain health connection there, and when I had a kimchi experience that, really just kind of, I woke up just feeling so good a few days after some kimchi, and I'm convinced in the intestine brain connection, and it makes more sense the more you do good things for your intestinal health. you know?
I've heard multiple people say recently that what they call like leaky gut is and issues with your intestine tends to lead to the inflammation and make people with long COVID worse. And so that's partially why I'm on, and I talked to my doctor about it anyway, but why I'm doing low FODMAP. I'm also, hopefully this is not TMI. I have a colonoscopy next week. Not looking forward to that. I will Thursday not be here. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that doing this diet and because it's removing a whole bunch of different things. It's removing wheat. It's removing most dairy, or at least not anything that's not fermented dairy. I'm hoping that if I heal my gut, that it will just help the rest of my body, because it is massive inflammation throughout my whole body.
Okay.
Just making it worse.
Right.
And we're trying to get it under control. But I moved to this apartment. And as you both know, when I was calculating how much money I had per month, it's ending up being tighter than I had expected to live here. Because one whole paycheck goes to all the living expenses, bills, and then the rest has to cover everything else. And that's not how I would have planned it. But I got out of, like what Henny said, a really stressful, horrible situation.
Yeah.
I'm moving to a place where I feel safe, where I can have a cat, where I have in-apartment laundry.
Yes.
It's a small.
You know, I wonder if that might be some of the brain fog stuff. Having to deal with that shock all the time before.
And I lived there a little over 11 years. It was not bad until COVID. But then COVID, of course, the high isolation, and then she got worse. And I'm wondering too, how much of it is I have had a cat for 4 months now, and that's helping and reducing the stress. And there's a little less. I talk to the cat a lot. I do not expect the cat to reply, but I talk to the cat. And how much of it is that, and like Henny said, it's getting rid of a huge portion of the stress.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Because my stomach comes up. I've had so many issues with my stomach where I'm nauseous or I get sick for no apparent reason. So,
I was having that for about a year and a half before I left. I was having it was back and forth between not having any bowel function to overactive.
Yeah.
I would get nauseous. I would be throwing up, and I honestly thought I had food poisoning or that I had a flu, and I would see a doctor and nothing was wrong. That's when they told me the gut is the second brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I had left, I started getting education on how cortisol levels also affect that.
Yes.
So it was almost like a trifecta of things that was happening in my body for the last year and a half of that relationship. So that's also something else too with trauma and with stress. And if you're having trauma responses, your cortisol levels are going up. Yes, cortisol is needed for the body just to function. Yeah. But excess levels can cause heart problems, liver problems, brain function issues, bowel, everything. It can cause so many, even just joint pain and inflammation can be excess cortisol.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. So like my shoulder, yes, it still bothers me. Yeah. But it's not like I need to be icing it every day or taking pain meds for it every day. But I do still need to be careful how I move it, because it'll move to a certain spot. And I'm like, oh, it's going to pop out. So I still have to be careful with it, because there is some damage in there, but it's not as painful. And that's once my cortisol levels started coming down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would explain
Kelly, I'm so sorry that you're going through that kind of recovery. You're not alone here. I promise you.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
And if you need to chat, we're happy to talk with you too. If you want to be, whether you want to be on camera or not.
Oh no, Misha. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh. So that makes it even worse when you're not getting enough sleep. Hey, Ben.
Yeah. Hey. How are you?
Not bad. How you doing?
Doing okay.
Somebody's chatty back there today.
Yeah, that's the bird he's running through his repertoire right now. It's always the same thing with him. I mean, I don't. Oh wow.
And Grace, I agree on the cats. I did not realize how amazing a cat, well, I'm sure a dog or other pets do the same thing is.
Well, yeah, you were just talking about cortisol, and that is something which I had a lot of experience with, and it does operate exactly like you're saying. It increases weight and all this, and sure enough, yeah, it starts affecting the gut, and it goes both ways.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to come on and tell you guys that yeah, you're dead on, because that's been my experience as well. Um,
Okay.
both ways, with stress in the gut, and then in turn stress with the brain, and things that affect the brain affect the gut, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really interesting how, Ben, I forgot about the weight factor, and you would think that a vain individual like me would not have. But I had easily dropped about 20 pounds in the last 4 months now. And that's
Wow.
just the cortisol levels going down, because now
Okay.
my body is actually able to let it go.
Yeah.
It's not storing things anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a huge
That's huge.
thing, and it is interesting how much stress affects us. And
Yeah.
Lord Kiss Freak and I were talking. I think it was last night, and it's so interesting when you really get noticing it. We were watching the protesters. We do that. We watch the protests and shoot back and forth, and things happen. And it was so interesting that you can see and these are good people, but you can see that when events happen, their cognitive ability starts to go down, and it
Wow.
starts becoming to a point where somebody didn't just bump somebody, they hit me and blah blah blah. And I'm not saying that's excuse me. I'm not saying that, of course, that's everything. I mean, I'm not discounting what they went through or anything like that, but it everything starts to become a lot more black and white. They didn't bump into me, they hit me, and that's just natural. And you can see the same thing with the police, where they show up and they hear that there is a active shooter, and Streets LA had to get out, and he had to talk them down, because they were all so jacked up. You could see it in their eyes, and it's like, these guys, the police officers, were feeding each other, and this is just amping things up.
Oh my
And
God.
Streets LA had to stop. You had to tell them, just go on. There's no active shooter situation here. Of course, they knew about it because they listened to scanners. But I still found it so interesting and so telling that Streets LA had to talk the police down,
Right? That's
to where then they
crazy.
get in the car and leave.
That is
That's
crazy.
insane.
And you can
That's
see
insane.
the effect on Streets LA when he started getting really angry. Everything started to become more and more amped up, and that's just natural. And we're like that too. I mean, we don't
Right.
necessarily need it to that level of what do you call it, literal fight or flight. But
Mhm.
you get a little bit of stress going on, yeah, your brain function, and
Yeah.
and you see it people testing all the time. If you got something else just a little bit on your mind, just something that's stressing you out, your test
Mhm.
scores will plummet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That makes
Mhm.
sense.
yeah. And I know,
Something that I find that I've been struggling with is, I understand that stress is going to affect all of my functions at this point. Okay.
Mhm.
But because of childhood trauma and adult trauma, my ability to function or not recognize trauma as trauma immediately, because my stress receptors, I can take so much more than somebody who doesn't have the types of trauma that I have. So until I start to get severely affected, I don't notice it at
Wow.
all. So I'm trying to work on how to figure out that in between, that gray area, to be
Yeah.
like, okay, no, this is a zone you don't want to be in, because as soon as you go up here, you know what's going to happen. You need to come on back down to the green. And you need to figure out how to stay down there.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. And I didn't know. Actually, it was the stream earlier that my stress levels and the things that I have previously dealt with affect how much stress I can handle versus how much stress Rebecca can handle, or Ben, or Carol. We
Right.
all have different levels, and
Yeah.
it depends on our previous traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and our stress load that we're carrying with us. But I do find it interesting that you can see this in the U.S. Navy has some shoot labs that they're in shooting training. It's basically John Wick type of stuff. And when they have people that are in that, you can see they record everything, so they go back and pick every little thing apart, which is really high stress for these people. And then they're mentally putting themselves in this scenario to where it's no longer a scenario. Your brain's starting to think this is real. And you can
Yeah.
tell that what they train these guys to do is they're going room to room, and to keep their brain engaged, you can tell they're having to do they're doing deep breathing while they're doing this. And that's also part of the reason why, and I think I brought this up before, in trials with Johnny Depp and things like that, if you look, a lot of times the lawyers will just say, just write something. Doesn't matter what, write or draw. And what you're doing is you're keeping your upper brain engaged, because the second that lower brain starts to kick in, it will always win. The lower the brain function, which is where your fight or flight lives, is down in this
Right.
lower brain stem.
Okay.
And if people a lot of times people will say, oh, no, we can overrule that. It's like, well, if you think you can, try holding your breath until you pass out. Most people can't, because that lower brain stem will kick in
Mm-hmm.
and it will overrule, and you can't control it. And
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know what controlled that, but that's good to know.
Right?
It's interesting that
Yeah.
that's a fight or flight response too. That's automatic.
Isn't that what I've heard people call like the lizard brain? Kind of the
Yes.
bear.
That's another term that's used for it. Lizard brain, animal brain, cat. Well, they have lizard brain, which represents the lowest of the brain function. The closer you get to the brains, to the spinal cord, lower down you get, the worse it is. Or not worse, but more primal and more control it will exert over you. They have extremely low function they call lizard brain, and slightly higher they call it cat brain. And then, of course, we have our frontal lobe, which then they refer to, of course, as our thinking brain. But yeah, it is just amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was watching that stream, and why am I pointing to her comment is beyond me, because nobody else knows I'm pointing at this. I guess it's just a habit. But that thing that happened with Tara, that was so amazing to me, because until then I never noticed how such a slight little itty bitty amount of stress can cause such a drop in cognitive ability. I mean, it doesn't take being nearly hit by a car to go into it. It can take something as small as somebody saying, "Oh yeah, well you're a piece of POS," and so on and so forth, fighting words and things like that. And in doing what I told Lord Kiss Freak I would do, here's number one. This is going to kill me. And it's going to be Kiss Freak's fault.
We're going to do three.
No.
I would like to pretend I'm like Johnny and I can just sit there and go, yeah, no, that's not me. It'll take a while. And
this is the celebratory 3 peanuts.
yeah, so there's one. It'll be interesting.
Are you allergic to peanuts?
No.
They're spicy.
They're extremely spicy.
Okay.
Because
I'm
like
eating them on a dare from Lord Kiss Freak.
Oh, yeah. I was like beginning to get worried for you for a second. Well, I'm so
hold on. Do we need to call the paramedics?
We need to get you some milk.
I still don't see how anybody could like Johnny. He likes the burn.
That's why
So
he's a
I'm doing
legend,
okay.
though. I mean,
I'll
To
say
be
my
honest,
partner likes it too.
and for myself personally, like I throw hot sauce on salad because if my lips aren't burning by the time that I'm done eating it, it wasn't worth it.
Well, I've heard, I think it was on, Tommy talked about how that burn pain can turn off other, I don't know if it's other pain, or if it's I don't know exactly all of it, but that it can help with other things.
It can release endorphins, which then kills pain.
Yeah.
And
wow.
but the problem is that to get endorphins, you need a huge. Now it's all relative. Some people handle pain better than others. Like Lord Kiss Freak, he normally handles 3 peanuts in one pop. I can't do that. I have to spread mine. I have to spread these 3 out. One is doing a number on me. I don't see how people can eat
Don't
an
touch your
entire tube.
eyes.
Oh yeah.
I just realized you had that in your hand.
Oh, trust me. Yes, I have
No.
taken contacts out after doing that. I have. How do I put this politely? You have to be careful going to the bathroom too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked Tara's thought
Mm.
though too.
Yeah.
Earlier. You know, I'd be interested if there's not other things that need to be talked about. I would be interested in talking about ways, and maybe we've talked about some of them before, ways that we can help reduce our cortisol level. I
Mhm.
use meditation,
Okay.
but I would be interested in other things that other people do, because
I
I've
would
used
too.
box breathing as well. Because I'm
Yeah.
just thinking it seems to be a bigger deal than I think I sometimes remember or even think about. And I don't know, maybe it would help other people too.
On the Facebook group, I previously posted a couple YouTube videos that I had been using, and I just kind of alternate through a bunch of them. But it's called Somatic, and I'll put it in the chat right now, actually.
Okay.
There we go. Somatic exercises, and it works specifically in the hip region, kind of like yoga or Pilates, but in the hips is where your cortisol levels stick and they stay. That's where I'm having the hardest time releasing my cortisol levels. And so
Okay.
I do these somatic exercises. I'm going to be honest, I can only handle it twice a week because I'm crying the whole time.
Okay.
The whole
Mm.
time I'm full on ugly crying. And it releases trauma,
Mm.
it releases the cortisol,
Wow.
but I can only handle it so much every
Okay.
single week.
Okay.
So that's what I do to help physically release it. And then
Mhm.
for me, meditations. And
So
specifically
somatic,
working around trauma.
Henny, it's somatic. Is it just somatic or somatic something?
Somatic exercises.
Okay.
And they'll come up as for trauma or for stress. I'll put it back in there, honey. So when you're looking for it on YouTube, both the ones that say trauma and ones that say cortisol, it's the same. I've been doing them for a couple of months now. They just label it differently per YouTube channel. That's all.
Okay.
In the short term, you of course have belly breathing. That will help if you try to consciously breathe into your gut. Also, looking
Okay.
from right to left, sweeping your eyes. Left to right can do the same.
Interesting.
Moving slowly can help, but these are small hacks. Certainly the way to get rid of it is doing something therapeutic like what you're talking about, Plant.
Yeah.
Yes.
The long term, but then even that short term though, like those are some of the moments I'm having issues with, is the short term ones where everything just spikes for a second.
Mhm.
But I'm going to try the moving. Can you explain the science to me behind the left? Is it using both sides of your brain? Is that what's happening?
That's exactly what's happening, and it's a little
Okay.
bit like what happens with EMDR. EMDR will do the same thing. One of the versions of EMDR, in fact, eye movement, but you can also do it with with headphones where you beep, beep, beep. Of course, a lot of people don't have.
Do it with things in
You
your hands that pulse.
Yeah,
That's how I've done
vibration. Yeah, and basically you want to stimulate one half of your brain, and then the other half of your
Okay.
brain. You can do that just simply by doing that.
Okay.
It's not a great fix, but it does
Okay.
help.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a lot like the hack if you're trying to give yourself confidence. A little bit confidence will kind of help if you stand akimbo, basically the Wonder Woman pose. If you do that for like before the interview or something, if you do that for like 3 to 5 minutes, if you sit when you're by yourself, just taking up as much room as possible. You don't have to sit, you don't have to mansplay or anything. But if you sit and you spread your arm out, it will build confidence with you and it will stick with you for quite a few minutes afterwards. And then you can go in that way if you're going to like an interview, if you're driving, you just put your arm, you see a lot of guys do, a lot of farmers do this, put your arm on the other chair or seat and just drive. And then when you get there, you will be noticeably different for a while anyway.
Okay.
But,
Interesting. Very
Yeah, the Superwoman pose is what I call power pose.
Yeah.
It helps a lot, and I'll do that before I have like in-house therapy sessions.
Yeah.
Because it helps me just feel better about me, the situation, because I know it's going to be emotional.
Yeah.
So at least if I go in a little bit more confident, when I leave, I'm not as drained.
Yeah.
Right.
The one of the doctors who did that was Dr. Cuddy. She did a TED talk on it. You can find if you just look up CUDDY TED talk,
Okay.
you'll run into it. But yeah, she goes into the science of it a little bit. But yeah, it's basically because they're finding, it used to be confidence will then get your body, but it turns out you can do a lot of things that are sympathetic, kind of like what we were talking about with the gut, where if you affect your gut, you can affect your brain. Backwards works as well. So it's really fascinating.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never thought that I would say it at any point in time in my life. I've been through enough, that I've educated myself enough that now I can at least give the science to other people.
Right on.
That's a pretty, I don't want anybody to go through what I've gone through. And if I can help, I would love to help. But I also understand the way that we work as humans, we need to go through it to fully understand it. So
Tara Smiling says, self-care gives me confidence. I think power poses fall into this category. Great point, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier she said something about, she said, let's see if I can get this to show up. I think doing whatever sounds enjoyable is a hack. Every moment is unique. What I love today might be a trudge tomorrow. So I'm shifting to doing what feels good in the moment. It's improving my life. That's great.
Good.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Excellent.
And I just because I will probably forget because I know my brain now, feel free to remind me if I seem stressed out that I need to focus on some of my lowering cortisol things.
Yeah.
All right.
That's one of those things that is another I'm finding side effect is the stuff that I would remember, I don't remember anymore. That like I'll have done it yesterday and it won't come to my mind. I can't problem solve as well as I used to. So yet another reason to do more exercise. And I'm hoping slowly, maybe it'll just take me longer maybe than it might take somebody else. But
right.
So yeah, feel free. And I'm not going to feel bad if you remind me of something that you'd already told me because my brain doesn't like braining sometimes.
Hey, that's okay. Mine doesn't like braining either. Okay. And Rebecca, if you want to have like a just quick daily check-in so I can hear where your tone is, just voice clip me and I'll let you know what I'm thinking. I'm happy to do that.
And I am curious at some point to know how you and Christy do the little voice things that you do. Because I love getting that voice there's a certain joy and it feels really good. And I want to be able to do that too.
Right on.
I'll help you with that after. I'll screenshot everything and show you where it is.
Oh, oh, what is
Trigeminal neuralgia pain does wicked things to cortisol levels, and the medications really impact on cognitive function. The brain fog, balance upset, vision changes are really hard to come to terms with. Ouch.
Oh,
what is that kind of pain? I guess I can Google it too.
That's why I don't watch Jeopardy. I know the answers tomorrow.
Yes. And Sarah, yes, I
Yeah.
do. Because I find I would rather laugh than cry.
Yeah.
And when I'm having some of my worst moments, it's when I try to laugh more, because it's kind of trying to bring myself back up. And that's one of the great things that this group does, is it forces me to take myself out of myself and what I'm struggling with, and brings in other things, and it reminds me of things I need to be grateful for, and all sorts of. So I think everybody that comes every day and does this, I appreciate it. But yes, Tara, I do that.
Yes.
Thankfully,
I don't know, but I feel like the more individuals I'm meeting in the connection communities,
yeah,
the more traumatized that we are, the more we stress laugh. I'm noticing that it's almost like it's a typical trauma response.
right.
So I could be wrong. Like, I'm no professional. I'm sitting here in a knit sweater and pajamas, people. But just from the bit of connection that I've been doing over the last few months, I'm really noticing trauma and that are hand in hand. The stress laughing. Yeah.
And actually, that's a really good point. Oh my God, you just reminded me of growing up.
Oh.
Because one of the things about being bullied in the way I was raised is I was always told, you turn the other cheek.
Right.
Don't respond, you turn the other cheek. So I was raised to, and well, I shouldn't even say, it wasn't told to me, but I was raised to have a poker face. Because I couldn't show how I was really feeling in the moments when people would say things that were really hurtful or do things that were really hurtful. And then, of course, being in the cult and what people would say and do in there. And yes, I think, laughed and pretended to be just fine for a lot of time. And it reminded me of something I hadn't thought of in years. One of my classmates said I was narcissistic, because I'm sitting in a classroom. I think I'm in 11th grade at this point. And he made some comment and I did not make a response. And I get why he thought that.
Wow.
I get completely why he thought that. But the whole being a poker face and not showing your emotion, I'm not very good at doing it.
Right.
I'm getting better. I mean, there's a portion of me who doesn't want to fake it anymore, which is partially why I actually appear on camera, because a part of me is tired of walking on eggshells because I don't want to lose my biological family.
Yeah.
But
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it just reminded me of it. Yeah. Yes, I do. And that was a really good question, Tara.
I could tell you're a person of deep emotion, because you're like me. You operate in what they have is the grotesque plane, is when your hands are down around your waist. The truth plane, where you tend to be, where people will interpret you as honest, is around your gut, and what you do is you express from that. Anything that's higher than that is called the ecstatic plane, and I notice you tend to do a lot of movements the same like I do, where if you get talking, I have to warn people, because I'll start doing this number, and I will slap people. So I can tell you're the same way. People with
keep out of my arm range. Oh my goodness.
And I've done the kind of those tests where they check for whether you are not just an empathic, but an empath. And I am on that highly sensitive scale where I do pick up on stuff that other people don't pick up on. And of course, I know that's also a trauma response because you have to be able to walk into a room and know exactly what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
Or at least a better idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That person who
Thank
you.
called you narcissistic didn't know what they were talking about, Rebecca. Tara smiling.
I was
There
thinking
was
the same
one-
thing.
No,
Exactly.
he didn't know me. He didn't know me, and no one knew me. I mean, let's be
Right.
real. No one knew me.
Right.
They knew the little
And you
bit
can't
that,
spot diagnose somebody.
right.
And you don't
No.
know what people have been through that causes them to react or respond the way they do.
Yep. He's the one that gave me the nickname that stuck with me for years in junior high and high school. And then I stopped responding to it because I was
Yeah.
called Spaz for a long time. And it was the one time I showed emotion.
Hmm.
I had been being pushed back and forth between this guy and another classmate, another woman. And I got upset and I pushed her because of course you do the one that's the least big. And I pushed her and I got that nickname and it stuck with me. I got it in 7th grade. It stuck with me. And sometimes people would still call me that 11th grade because I didn't go to the same school as a senior. But it stuck with me and I just stopped responding to it. I learned, that. But every single time somebody called me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a reactive abuse situation. You're reacting to what had happened to you.
Mhm.
And that's where my situation comes in. I had a lot of reactive abuse. And because of how I reacted to the years and years of things, that could potentially be detrimental for me and all the things that I'm going through. Because it really depends on how much education somebody has on reactive abuse, on conjugal violence, what that looks like. And my situation touches so many different avenues that I didn't originally realize, but I had so many other consequences of the abuse that I have to now work through. And that is just a consequence. Sadly, majority of us go through it and don't know what it is.
That's right.
And don't understand that it's a reactive abuse thing.
Yeah.
And I just want people to understand that reactive abuse is a thing. Somebody can be speaking to you calmly and you can snap just because of something that was said to you, because of something that triggered you out of their, diatribe of an explanation about you. But it's a form of abuse.
You, Ms. D points out.
Yeah.
He gaslit you. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly even projected. Who knows?
Exactly.
Hmm.
For that guy at school, I'd heard he became a white supremacist or a skinhead. And so I'm just thinking I lucked out and I'm doing much better because I don't want to be part of that.
Say, yeah,
any
you
part of
are.
that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That was a projection thing then. Complete
Yeah.
projection.
I think that might be a safe assumption.
Though
Yeah.
I will say that girl came back on Facebook and apologized and made a comment something along the lines. It was very basic and fairly minimal, just saying, I'm sorry for how I think it was just, I'm sorry for how I treated you when we were in school. And I thanked her a lot and then just said and as well that she was the only person that had ever said that to me and that we were good and to, kind of let it go because I'm assuming she was keeping that in as well.
Yeah.
That she should just let that go and we're good.
Right on.
Yeah.
Because I kind of wonder how many times because I think most people are basically good. How many times do we go back and think about stuff like that and feel bad and then have never said anything?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and quite honestly, also high school.
High school,
Yeah.
high school.
Hey, I'm terrified for this upcoming September, okay? My 13-year-old, well, she'll be 14 then, but she's going into high school. I'm beyond terrified now. I'm starting to notice her and her own aunts that are starting to go on. They're her own automatic thought, negative thought.
Yeah.
I see me at around her age right now. And I'm trying to nip that in the butt. And I think I had said it last week. I have been able to reach out and find her counseling where she is. It's just so difficult not being there to be supportive. But I keep the line of communication open, and I'm going to try my damnedest to not let it go to the wayside because it affected me for so long. I'd like to at least break that cycle for her.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And high school in your area, because I know it's different, is it 4 years? So freshman through senior?
And we call it 9 through 12. Yeah. It used to be grade 13, but my first year of high school, it used to be grade 9 to 13, but my first year of high school, they took away grade 13.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Quebec, it's completely different. And if Izzy is here, even LKF might be able to explain it. There's like 3 different sections of school. I just don't understand it, or how my education translates to it. That I did everything in Ontario.
Gordo says, all of the abuses I've had in my life, I sometimes think the bullying I endured caused the most lifelong traumas. Kids suck sometimes. You know, some of the things that stuck with me, the most mortifying things were the things that other kids did to me.
Yeah.
It's true. So true.
And is that because we are so young and we don't have other ways of knowing what to do or how to deal with it?
Maybe so. Just not having the
Seems
tools
hard.
to deal with it and taking it out on people. Who knows?
I've heard a lot of people were in dog training. If pup groomers here, maybe she could to add to it. That's good news that Danny was released as well. I'm kind of not
What?
surprised that
The-
Danny,
the-
he was one of the squirrels.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Different
the
Danny.
squirrel squad, yeah.
Different
Yeah,
Danny. I'm
not-
sorry. I looked up like, what just happened here?
Yeah, not creeper Danny, but that kids go through what's called fear impact periods, where, and I know that the same goes for dogs. At least I think that's where I've heard most of that teaching applied to was with dog training. Was that there's certain periods where a dog, if any trauma is done to them, they will carry it much longer than if they were younger or older. And I think kids, I've heard that. I don't have any research that I can think of to back this up. It's not anything that immediately comes to mind, but I have heard it mentioned quite a bit that they think kids go through the same periods where trauma at this stage will be worse than if not. And I know a lot of it is too. We have no frame of reference when we're children. You know, so
Yeah.
and for what it's worth, I think I can see what Tommy or Johnny talks about with the endorphin rush.
Oh,
It
yeah.
actually isn't burning. I don't believe it.
Interesting.
Eventually it just stops burning, but then you also, for me, my hot sauce intake, okay, first off, I'm brown. I've had hot sauce since I was like 6. So it's, for me, once it gets to I've got that endorphin rush, there's another level. And it actually feels like you get like a high for like 5-10 seconds. And that's, every so often I need that. And that's the addict in me, and that's getting sober. And I know that, but every so often I need that. So if you just push a little further.
I think sriracha's hot. So I was born in Wisconsin. I am such a Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin girl. Because my level, I didn't grow up with hot sauce. My mom had maybe cayenne pepper. So there was no So when I order Indian, it's often mild plus because medium is too hot for me. It's just it's kind of sad. I mean, let's just be real. I have no tolerance.
It's okay.
Tara smiling. Why do we allow ourselves to carry around negative experiences and remember them as opposed to all of the positive things we encounter? Serious question. Great question.
Yeah. Is it
Great
because it's easier to
question.
believe the negative sometimes?
Yeah, but why? Why is it easier to believe the negative and so easy to push aside the positive? That's what is up with that?
I think it's a negative self-talk.
Yeah.
I think it's that no matter who you are, we can easily go to the negative self-talk so quickly. And then it's able